The Life Talk Show is about testimonies where you can listen to be inspired, encouraged, uplifted, and entertained. It's the life. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashley Cotton, and I'm the host for the Life Talk Show. Thank you for joining us this morning, whether you're watching through Facebook, YouTube. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting. I see all your comments. I go back and reread through the comments. And so thank you for participating with us. And as you already know, that this show is about testimonies based off of Revelation 12:11. It's so important to be able to share our story, our testimony without any guilt, shame, or defeat, because they're all been crucified with Christ. And so we are new creatures. And those who are watching who may not have a relationship with the Father, we want you to become new too, because there is an inheritance for you to receive from the Father, whatever that may be, whatever your calling is, whatever your dreams and passions are that are, linked with Him. And so without further ado, I do have my guest here with me this morning. Her name is Folasade Ayegbusi. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I just probably murdered the last name. So please forgive me. And if you want to pronounce it, you can.
Folasade Ayegbusi.
Ayegbusi. And she is a Maryland, accountant, a EA of the IRS, ex-insurance broker, speaker, and small business growth strategist. Additionally, she is a wife, mother, and entrepreneur. She has helped entrepreneurs and small business owners save over $25 million in lost revenue, tax assessments, penalties, and interest over the last 12 months. She is confident that she can assist you with all of your accounting needs. She motivates entrepreneurs who struggle with managing their business finances and prioritizing their taxes. She achieved this by aiding them in creating money management processes and implementing the necessary systems to simplify their accounting, maximize taxes, and increase their bottom line. So let's welcome Folasade. How are you? Thank you for joining me this morning.
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me, Ashley.
Okay, so now that I read your bio and we read your accolades of what you can do and why you help people, take us back to the very beginning of you and work us through the journey of what your relationship has been like with the Father through Jesus and how you got to where you are now. Because a lot of people often see people within their promised land or within their calling, and it seems like they got there overnight, right? Mm-hmm. But we know that there has been a struggle. We know there has been some trials and tribulations. So share that with us.
Okay, so my journey started off like what some people consider the typical come from the mud type of environment. I grew up in the hood, really didn't have a pot to piss in, how they used to say the pot to piss in.
Oh yeah, a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of.
Yes. So growing up, I always, first of all, I have to give kudos to my dad. He's an accountant. So I kind of gotten the accounting insight from him. But what really got me into the industry was that I noticed that my community, we didn't seem poor, okay? We had the latest of the latest, but what I did notice was that all of our parents had jobs. No one really had businesses outside of the candy store, outside of the food truck, or the ice cream truck that came in the community, or the convenience store that was around the corner or up the street. And so it dawned on me. So I would go to intern with my dad in the summers in his accounting firm. And the conversations about money actually were totally different. Okay. They would be talking about, oh my gosh, I'm owing taxes, or I have a business. I need help with this. But then I'll go back into my community and we're talking about getting tax refunds and, oh, I didn't work. Can I claim your kids? The conversations about money and taxes were totally different. And
Yeah.
so I asked my dad, I said, Dad, what do accountants do? He said, accountants run the world. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, all of the big companies have accountants help them make decisions. We help the government make decisions. We do a lot of those things. And I'm like, okay. So at that point, I knew that if I really wanted to help my community, I really had to learn the money game. I really had to learn not just the personal finance part, because that's not my forte, but the business part, the stuff that allows you to be able to build generational wealth and hand over
Mm-hmm.
businesses so we can now employ our own. And
Right.
at that point, at 16, I knew I was going to be an accountant, actually. And so at that point, things just started to align with that course in that direction. So no, things wasn't easy. At 16, I became my mom's guardian. So I had to take care of my mom. But at that point, I knew when I had to take care of my mom, we ended up becoming financially strapped, didn't have money. We ended up getting evicted, having to move with my sister and stuff. And at that point, actually, I knew I never wanted to be broke in my life. I never wanted to be
Okay.
broke.
Folasade. Okay, so at this point you're 16. So why were you put in a position where you had to take care of your mother? Because usually the parents take care of the children, but for whatever reason, what occurred for that to happen? Because that's a pretty big responsibility.
Yeah, so she ended up having a heart attack. She
Okay.
had congestive heart failure, so she ended up having a heart attack. Almost died on the table, died, and they had to resuscitate her and bring her back to life. And while she was, I say basically on her deathbed, me and my sister and us, we had to move our furniture out of our apartment, move with my sister. So life just basically went completely 360 for me at that age. And so at that point, I knew I didn't want to be broke again, because the government didn't want to give my mother her medicine. It was just a lot of things that impacted us financially. And if we had money, we wouldn't have never experienced it. Okay. So at
Mm-hmm.
that point, I said, you know what? I don't want to be broke again. And so I was going to Duke Ellington, the School of the Arts at that time, but I had to withdraw. So at that point, I said, well, how would I'd be able to do two things: become financially stable and never have to struggle again in my life, but then also serve my community and really help other Black girls that's in a situation like me, or in a different situation, but need exposure to building a business and things like that. And at that point, I said, I'm going to be an accountant. I said, that's really the only way. I have to learn the secrets of how to build business. I need to know the secret about how money works and the tricks to the trade. So at that point, I just started to focus, went to UDC. Well, first of all, had to take care of my mom, so I didn't get to go away to college. Didn't even apply to go to school away from college. So I just went to Prince George's Community College. I started off at a community college, got
Mm-hmm.
enough credits, and then transferred to UDC and got my bachelor's from UDC, and then ended up getting my master's and everything else.
Mm-hmm. And so you did what you had to do in that particular point in time. Not to say that you couldn't pursue anything, but right now your focus was, okay, taking care of my mother and being put in a position where I'm not going to be broke. I'm going to actually break the curse or whatever that may be for your family, for your generation, for your bloodline. And you went ahead and pursued to where now you are your own boss.
Yeah.
You're working your business and you're impacting your community around you. So, my next thing is, where was your father in the midst of everything? Because he had his own business. He was an
Mhm,
accountant, correct?
yeah.
So, was he helping you? Like, was he helping the family out? Was he doing what he could on his end?
No, not as much as he could have. Yeah, not as much. Yeah, he had his own family as well. Yeah, so the relationship was kind of strained.
And how did that make you feel?
Actually, it made me feel like, to be really honest with you, like less worthy, or um, looking for a father figure. All of the little things that you have to kind of heal from. So yeah, it just made me feel like, oh, well, I'm not worthy enough. But once my mom and my, sister and them started talking to me about the situation, I started to kind of put things in perspective. And just as of late, like the past couple of years, I just started to accept that if he was around, I wouldn't be who I am, Ashley. I wouldn't have experienced the financial turmoil that I experienced to really push me to the level that I'm at. I wouldn't had to experience how to juggle things financially and bootstrap my business if I had everything handed to me or been in a situation or in a different situation. So I took that for the grain of salt that it was and said, okay, well, you know what, let me reverse it. If he was around, would I have the same life I have now? And the question is actually no. No.
Wow. And that's really transparent for you to say that, because I know oftentimes in our childhood or wherever we are, when we experience trauma, that we want to be whole. We want to be healed and healthy. But God says, I'm going to you know what? God is so amazing. Just last night into the wee hours of the morning, I couldn't sleep. And I kept hearing read Romans, like probably for the past 2 to 3 days, read Romans. And so I said, okay. So last night, before, when I put my son to bed, I was able to be quiet and just sit still before the Father. And I actually read Romans in the middle of my sleep. I couldn't sleep, and I woke up and I'm like, okay, God. And I was walking around the house and I'm like, okay. And I heard finish Romans. And it was like urgent. And I was like, okay, let me be obedient, because one thing I am going to be is obedient. So I was like, okay. So I read Romans. I got through the whole entire book from last night into the wee hours of the morning. I'm talking about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I finished reading Romans. And one of the things is that God shows mercy who he wants to show mercy to, and he hardens the heart of those he wants to harden the hearts of, because it is his will that he's going to be glorified. And even though we're put in those situations that we don't like and we wish it could be different and we want it to be different, God is doing a bigger thing. And we are the clay that's on the potter's wheel, and he is the one orchestrating it all for his glory. So the very fact that you said that, that's just confirmation of what I read last night. And that just ties into what we're talking and discussing about today. So I hope that our viewers, that whatever situation you may find yourself, God is the author and the finisher of our faith. And he has you there for whatever is going to bring him glory, however he's going to get the glory. Let patience have her perfect work, and all things work together for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purpose. So, Folasade, what was that faith step that you had to take for your business? That was like, either I'm going to do this or I'm not. And even though I probably don't have all my apples lined up in a row, but I know that I have to do this.
Yeah, so my situation came a little bit differently. So I was newly married, pregnant with our child, with my 9-year-old Neil. And I went to my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm going to, get my EA and this, and this certification. I've already started, bringing in clients. So let's go ahead on and establish a legitimate partnership. And, whatever revenue come in, you take 40, I take 40, and then the office will retain 20. And then I will retire you when it's time for you to step out the business. So I will take care of him, So I presented him with the offer, partnership agreement, everything. And he said in his Nigerian voice, oh, Shadi, you have to build your own. It is not, I'm not sharing. You have to figure it out. And so he basically said no. So at that point, I had to really pray, because, the difference between you being 24 and, you're in your, was I in my master's? I think I was in my master's program at that time, and you're by yourself. But now you're trying to establish a family. I need to have some income. I need to have some money coming, some stability coming.
Yeah.
And so he declined. And so I ended up praying, talked with my husband, talked to my sister, and just praying and praying and praying. And we ended up finding like a little office suite when my husband was looking for employment. And I was like, dang, God, you're so funny. So I go there, I inquiry about it, got my little office space. Actually, it was not even an 8x10 box. It was like a little box. And so that's how I started. So that was my leap of faith. My leap of faith is that when one door closed, another opportunity opened. And that's exactly what happened, because it just so happened that the space that my uncle had his business in was affordable for me to jumpstart my business. And so that's basically what I did. So I found the office space indirectly and prayed and prayed. My credit qualified, put down, well, really didn't qualify, Ashley. Had to put down 2 deposits.
Oh, wait, girl.
2 deposits. But at that point, I didn't look back. Didn't look back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was around August 26, 2011.
And were you ever bitter towards your father? Did you just say, you know what? I understand now that he had to say no in order for me to step out on faith and have my own.
Not in the moment, Ashley. I was bitter, very bitter, because I saw so much. He's brilliant, and I'm brilliant. Like in our industry, like we would have like Tom and Jerry take over the world domination mode. Like we
Yeah.
literally would have been a strong duo. So I think that not the fact that he said no in terms of the partnership, but the fact that the dream of being dad and daughter duo and dominating and taking over, that dream died at that moment. But after a few years of me, not even a few years, after me going out and never having to come back was when I was like, okay, job well done. And I was able to really look back and forgive. But in the moment, I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm. And was that part of your motivation, like some fire underneath you to say, you know what? I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to ask for a handout. I'm going to prove to you and show you that I can do this.
Yes, definitely. That was kind of like the motivation. And so it's interesting because the initial purpose was to never really be to become financially stable, things like that. And then the second purpose was, oh, we're going to dominate, still be financially stable. But then I had to now find a whole nother purpose. Well, if I'm not going to do this with my dad, if this is not going to be the means to the end, what is the means? Is it just me? Am I enough? Do I know enough? It was challenging.
Yeah. I want to switch gears because of the different dynamics here. Your background is Nigerian, correct?
Yes. And
And,
American. I'm half
and,
Nigerian, American. Black American.
and of course, I'm, born and raised in America from Chicago. But what I want to talk about is the different mindsets because you come from a father who's an entrepreneur who has his own business. And when I look at people who come over from, like, let's say China or Asia or Africa and, Australia, like different places, and they come here because this is supposed to be the land of milk and honey, that you all will go in and set up shop to have your own. Why versus we go to school here and it's like, okay, you go to college and you get a job, a good paying job, and you just work until you're able to retire and live off your retirement. Why is that? Why is that a different dynamic or duo until you awaken to know what your purpose is and then you start to do the work that it takes to being fully in your purpose?
I think it's 2 things, ownership and dominance. If you work for someone, it's only so far you can go. So we always have that dominant presence of going the furthest of the furthest. So the moment one wall comes, we're going to try to jump over the next wall to get to it. And if we can't make the most money, if we can't do what we desire, we're going to figure out a method to it. And then ownership. Everybody back there owns almost everything. They own their homes. They don't have mortgages. They don't have none of that stuff. So ownership, it's key. Everybody own their own land. Most of the families, and they have their own little businesses, and so it's common to. And then you're really fending for yourself over there. That's another thing too. That the government doesn't sustain over there like they do here, and so that's another issue. You don't have no one to call back home. You can't go and line up for food stamps, and so that's where you don't have no one else to call. So that's where it's really coming from. And so my risk taking was that resemblance. My mom always said that the government take care of fools and babies. And she said, I'm neither one. And so with her dominance presence saying that even if my environment, everybody else around me may be on food stamps and stuff, but you're not a fool, you're not a baby. So you need to go to school. That's what she always used to tell me. And then my dad used to tell me, don't accept handouts from nobody because they'll end up owning that handout that they gave you. Work to have your own, try to be on your own, like very cocky, independent, work for your own, don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Because yesterday I was in Carrollton and I wanted some pho soup. because it was cold and it was rainy and everything. And I was waiting for my son to get out of school while I was wrapping up some things here at the office. And I mean, the Koreans, because where I was, it was dominated by Koreans. And I mean, they buy up blocks. Like I'm driving around looking for a parking spot, but as I was driving and looking, they have their own bank, they have their own grocery store, they have their whole row of restaurants, salons. Like they have their own community, and it's even like that with Hispanics. They have their own stores, and I was just like, okay, so with the African American community, I said, why don't we have our own block? I'm like, why don't we have our own establishment? And I don't want to sit up here and be like, well, the white man, pull out my race card, because I got my race card. Now it'd be in my back pocket. No, I'm joking. I'm playing. But I mean, there are some challenges and some things due to slavery, but I'm just like, okay, so this is my mindset that I'm not in slavery no more. That happened to my ancestors, and that was very unfortunate. But now that I have the opportunity and I know who God is, I have the Holy Spirit on the inside of me to lead me and direct me. So my mind is like, okay, who else can I get together who's an investor or some money or whatever, and let's buy the block.
Yeah.
Let's get.
I think you're indirectly asking me why we can't replicate the same processes.
Yes.
In the system. I think, and then from my perspective, being half and half, is community. It's community. We're so concerned. One, we don't have the love that we need within our community. So where we have that, I want everyone to win mentality, even if one have to lead. And see, this is what a problem. We have to accept that one of us have to lead the way. One of us going to have to turn the stern wheel. And we're not really comfortable with, one, the community, that means everybody coming together, and then two, someone having to lead. If we can understand those two qualities, that we have to put somebody on the pedestal, and all of us will now catapult them to bring the message and to be able to digest and get the information, knowledge, and then come back and then execute, implement, build, then we're going to have a problem with. And within our community, we're okay with all of us being strong and in our own suit, in our own way. We're okay when this person have the connection and this person don't. We say, oh, go connect. You know what I mean? But in the Black community, oh, she always be saying, oh, that she got the connection. Show up. Now the person, like, I don't even want to call the person now because you wishing bad. It's just a lot of conflict, but it goes back to two things: love and community. And then if in community, we have to accept that somebody have to be the top boss. Somebody, not to say they delegate into everybody, but to be the voice. And right now we have too many people trying to be the voice, and it's not a clear, concise message. And we're all over the place. So to be honest with you, we need to go back and start appreciating each other and love. And God is all love. So we're missing a lot of God, Ashley, honestly, because
we are.
Yeah, so if we really look at it, when the last time we smiled God-like, when we walking in the store with each other and we mugging the next woman rather than, hey girl, but back in the day, that's how it used to be. Whereas though they go into the stores and they're the only Black person, so they, hey girl, hi, you okay? Okay, see you later. Don't even know the person, but we were making sure our community was whole. I think if we go back to the love and community, we can achieve all things, because we're actually very, very powerful. Very powerful.
We are. You got that right. We sure are. And when you mention about the God piece, that we need to have God is missing. Well, here's the thing along with that. If people were to be in alignment according to God's will and what he has, and knowing their purpose, knowing where they fit in, because we're all a part of the body of Christ. We all have a purpose within the body of Christ. I'm one part, you're one part. And if we all connect cohesively,
that's the community.
And that's the community, then God says, okay, because we're getting our instruction, our download from the Father through the Holy Ghost. We're getting it from him. I'm not going to my neighbor to say, well, what you want me to do? What you think I should be doing? What do you see me, we're getting it from God, and God is delegating to say, because it's the order of things, and God is saying, okay, I want you here, I want you doing this, I want you doing that. Delegating where we're all together working as one for the main common purpose of his will.
Yep. And then we have to have a hard realization, actually, that we aren't doing as well as we are perceived. I think that so the hardest part is that accountability aspect. And as the accountability accountant, every issue that we're facing in our community, we lack accountability within. So, for example, we say, oh, well, there's not a lot of jobs. However, did you go and get qualified for those jobs? Did you create those jobs? Did you inquiry and knock on the door every day and email every day to get those jobs? Did you do what you were supposed to do to get XYZ or to qualify for? Once we start asking those accountability underlying questions, the problem is us internally, and it's us individually refusing to be held accountable, come together as community, and love one another.
That's good. Folasade, have you started the process within your community? Because I swear I want to not tell you, but I'm like, are you moving to Texas anytime soon in the Dallas area?
No, I'm not. Like I'm thinking I'm trying to find like a second spot for me and my family. I'm thinking we might head down to Florida.
No, not Florida. Texas is where it's at.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends in Texas, but I have a lot of problems in terms of leadership there. And yeah, so that's my concern. But in terms of me helping our community, the first mission that I'm on and the mission I am is awareness. Right now, I am making sure that I position our businesses with the tools, the resources, and the knowledge and expertise that they need to build sustainable, profitable businesses. So that's my mission right now. And so now what I find is, based on our DMs and all the messages that I get, more and more people that have been watching my platform, they're doing their bookkeeping now. They at least are starting to look at the numbers now. And so that's where I'm at, more so awareness. Now, a lot of them are now starting to implement. So now guess what's happening? They're starting to make more money in their businesses. They're starting to save a little bit on taxes. And then the next step that I'm doing, I do this with my clients, and the next step is building wealth. So a lot of my clients now, we're on the conversations of setting up their IRAs, making sure that they start to hire their children, setting up 529 plans. Mm-hmm. So it's awareness. The second step is their self-accountability and executing. And then the third step is making money, building the businesses. And then fourth step is building generational wealth. So that's how I am assisting my community. And then I'm indirectly trying to do my own stuff over here. And I'm employing some people. We got like 18 people on our staff now. So I'm employing people and I'm helping my clients employ. So in a collective, I think I'm more so the vessel to get the knowledge to our community. And he put it in the box that is so unique, where I resonate with the hood rats, they would say. I resonate with the scholars a little bit if I want to turn that bucket on. And I'm in the middle because I'm highly spiritual as well. So I'm just a perfect vessel for him to.
Absolutely. You're a jack of all trades, which means that you can relate to anybody that's put in your environment. You know how to get to their level, not to put anybody down or anything like that, but you know how to talk to people where they are. Yeah. And then you could go to the next and do all of that, which is like Paul. Paul said, I'll be, whatever I need to be to get to win you over to Christ. Yes. And so I think that that's remarkable because that's how I am. I can talk to anybody. It doesn't matter about status or whatever. Like, so what? So be it. Whoever I could talk to, whoever is put on my path and I'm put on their path, I'll make a conversation. I'll strike up a conversation. So we got a comment right here. So, Chandra Gore says, love this. Thank you, Chandra. Appreciate it. And so, Folasade, yeah. So do you have clients all over or just in Washington?
No, we have clients all over in almost all 51 states. Yep.
And you all communicate through what? Zoom, email, phone call?
Yep, Zoom. So I meet with my bookkeeper clients on a monthly basis via Zoom.
And how do people find you if they need to reach out to you regarding their business or whatever information that you can give?
Yeah, so either you can go and follow me on Instagram at Folasade, the accountant on Instagram, and DM me, and then I'll direct you to my office, or you can just call my office. My staff is waiting for you guys to call as well. You can call us, or you can just go to one of our sites as well and check out the resources and the blogs and content that I have there for you guys, and then message me if you're interested.
I'm gonna be contacting you. I hope that are you open to traveling? I think you on mute. Oh,
Yes,
are
I'm
you open to traveling?
Yes, I am open to traveling. I do have to come down to your area actually to see quite a few of my clients. I've been promising that I'm gonna come up there in that area and see some of my clients. But yeah, no, I'm open to travel. Yes.
When are you thinking, like June? Because the reason why I'm asking is because I'm a part of the founders of Sisters. Just last night we were having our Zoom call, and we were putting together High Tea, which is a networking amongst women who own businesses, who aspire to be a business owner. And so we're all putting this together. And next month, I think the second Sunday in June is when we're going to have our High Tea again. And so I was wondering if you would be in town. And if not, there's going to be, of course, other opportunities where you could come and share your expertise with what you just said to me, your steps and on how to build generational wealth, because that's my whole thing. Building generational wealth. I have a son, and I want him to be able to grow up with knowing what an entrepreneur does, what a boss does, because we talk about business all the time. And just yesterday, he was saying, Mom, I'm going to be a boss. Mom, I'm going to have my own business. And I said, well, that's cool. I said, you don't want to work for me? He said, no, I want to have my own boss. I want to be my own, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I said, but just understand what comes along with it. And the most important thing is building your foundation, which is your paperwork, making sure your I is dotted and your T is crossed. So he's already in the environment of owning, of having his own, of not going to work for anybody. And if he chooses to go to college, that's great. It'll be paid for. And if he doesn't, that'll save us some money where we can invest and build and do what we need to do. So it's a win-win for all of us. So Sade, is there any, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to say that the Father is placing on your heart to say to your audience? It could be spiritually, it can be, motivation, whatever you feel led to say. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'll just basically say that everything that we all want, honestly, is right there. It's right there, right at the door, honestly. We just have to now reflect on, one, is it truly what we want? Is it truly what we think that we need, that's going to sustain us, make us happy? But then also, is it the right thing? And the reason why I say those three things is because a lot of us, especially in this day and age with the internet, we're suffering from identity crisis. We really don't truly know as a community what we really want. And so I'm asking all of you guys that's building businesses, that's making your decision to work at certain jobs, is this really what you want? Do you really want to work at that fast food restaurant for the rest of your life? Because at one point in time, it was only for teenagers. Do you really want to work for someone else for the rest of your life? And we just have to really get honest with ourselves about what we want. So now we can hold ourselves accountable to take the steps to get there. So first of all, everybody just get honest with ourselves right now. So that's all I have to say, Ashley, because what I realize is that if we don't take that first step, that get honest with ourselves, it impacts everything, like the way that people spend money, the way that they react to it, the way that they attract it, the way they ask for it. When they do sales pitches, they mumble and stutter, don't know how to ask for what they want, all because they didn't take the first step to really ask ourselves from the core, is this what we want?
Absolutely. And I'm a transformation life coach. And so my clientele is women, single mothers. Now it's women, because God is expanding and growing it. That one of the things is, are you fulfilled? Are you walking within your destiny? Are there some gems? Are there some things that's laying dormant on this inside of you that God has placed there when he knitted you in your mother's womb that you are not even pursuing, because your gift will make room for you?
Yeah.
It was put in you to do so it can make room for you, but also create generational wealth. Because I don't believe as a people, a God's people, that we were supposed to work for someone else. Like you go into the field, into corporate America and learn what you need to learn, assess what you need to assess. And then that very thing that that's on the inside of you, you cultivate that. So while you're there in corporate America, this is not where I'm going to stay. This is not where I'm going to retire. I'm cultivating some things on the inside of me. And just like Joseph had to prepare for his position of ownership. He was the governor. He was running the show. But he had to be in jail. He had to be in Potiphar's house because he was cultivating that thing that was on the inside of him that God purposed him to do. And he was going to get there because God's word is not going to return void to him. So it is a process, but eventually get there to the end result, which is having your own. Because when you got your own, can't nobody tell you nothing.
Yeah, actually, I agree and I disagree with that. From an entrepreneur and as a person that's kind of, not to say I have a big business, but we're getting to that point where it's starting to hit me like my business is getting very big. All of us will not be owners. It's no way possible. And the reason why I say that is because your purpose may be to be my second in command, because I may not be able to fulfill my purpose without you being my second in command.
And that makes sense.
I may need my 10th employee just so I can now do more speaking gigs so I can speak to his audience and fulfill that part of my purpose. But without that 10th employee, I'm not able to get from behind the desk and be able to come and fulfill that part of his purpose. So I truly, from the bottom of my heart, do not agree that everybody's role in this world is to be an owner. I think when we say ownership, we're going in terms of them owning the position and the purpose that God them in.
Right.
So if you're meant to be my third in command, own that position. If you're meant to be my 10th, own that position, because your role is necessary and is needed so we can now fulfill the overall purpose of what God set for your leader. And that's another thing. You have to accept that there will be a leader, but he's not the leader without your role and your purpose either. So it's all about being comfortable. And this is why I said we go back to what we initially said about our community, not being comfortable with catapulting that one person that's leading, because I want to be the leader. Now understanding that your purpose is to be my second in command. Look at everybody that's helped Mark Zuckerberg. He was the vision and they were leaders. They're rich too. But they didn't have the vision to fulfill and build Facebook, but they had the position to feel, they had the purpose to feel that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Right. It got executed by teamwork. Exactly. It got executed. And with Moses, there was an Aaron.
Yep.
Yep. And with Pharaoh, there was a Joseph. Yep. So you're absolutely right. So thank you for saying that and clarifying that. And so right now, we're going to transition to the fire rapid questions. I'm about to hit you with the hot track, icebreakers, of course. And so the first question is, Folasade, what is your favorite verse in the Bible?
Oh, and I always get stumped on this one because I've never been can just drop out Bible verses, but I live by I make decisions. So I have one. To be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Joshua 1:6. 1 verse 6, yes.
Number 2, how do you get into the presence of the Lord?
Oh, well, first of all, you have to kind of get on your knees or go into a very quiet, peaceful area. And so I go through either with prayer or my meditation or just being silent, and just when it's a quiet moment, just taking that pause.
Number 3, what do you think heaven will be like?
Oh, a fun fest, because all of my mom up there dancing. I think everybody is whole and happy. So I think it's going to be just where I can do my rap stuff and have a blast and let my hair down. So I think it's going to be a free spirit. It's going to be an energy filled with freedom, just freedom.
Oh, so you rap?
No, not really. But my kids, family. Jeremy will be quiet. Yeah.
I was about to say, hit us with a little something, something. That's okay. Number 4, who would you like to meet in heaven? It could be from the Old Testament or New Testament.
I would say Rahab. Simply because, and most people say that's the judgmental one. That is where we are, and most of the women are in right now, where they're in that phase of, in the middle of finding ourselves and becoming a woman and learning life, and we're put in situations where we're not that whole. And how did she know to take them in and be able to listen to God? When they say that, oh, our sin is equal, it shows through Rahab. And so I would want to meet her and see what kind of, how did she get that connection? Because they say your body was a temple, and at that point they consider her body not being such as a temple. How did she get that connection with him? How did that come about? How did she understand it?
Look, Rahab hustled. She said, listen, I'm going to have y'all. And I heard about y'all God that happened when y'all was in Egypt, how he delivered y'all. So listen, for me and my household.
Come from, though?
Yeah.
Where did that belief come from? Yeah.
And so she said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide y'all. But when y'all come in, just make sure, y'all y'all don't destroy me in the process of it. Okay. She was a hustler.
It was risk and belief, though. And so, and then I'm gonna say hustler. I'll give you that one. Yep, hustler.
Right. She was a hustler. Like, listen, okay. So number 5, given the opportunity where you're in a quiet, intimate setting and God manifests himself to you face to face, what would you say to him? What is that conversation?
I'm sorry.
Whoa, let's talk about that.
I'm sorry, because every day we're here with the decision to do right and wrong and to do things he whispered in our ear. We may not be as obedient as we should. So that's what I'm gonna say I'm sorry for, because I'm not always as obedient as I always should. I'm not always God-like. I'm not always leading, and I make mistakes too. So I want to say sorry because of not listening and being disobedient. So I think that's what my conversation will go.
And I just heard the Holy Spirit say, when you said that, he said, that just touched my heart. That's what he said about you. He said, that just touched my heart. That you would even say that right there, that I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong answers to this.
Oh, no, I know.
It's just what comes out of your heart, what you say, because this is your relationship with the Father. We're just getting a peek into how you go about your day-to-day with him in a relationship. So I just want to tell you that. And my bonus question that I asked everyone, Folasade, is that through everything that you've been through, the very beginning, you don't know what lies ahead in the future for you, but through all of it, is it worth having a relationship with him?
Worth? Is it worth? You said taking back, or say that question
again? Through it all, right? Yeah. From the very beginning, the things that you have to endure, the things that you have to work through that don't nobody know like God knows, and you don't know what's to come. Mm-hmm. Is it worth being in a relationship with him to say, yes, Lord, your will, I surrender, whatever?
Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it. I feel like because everything that we go through, and it leads us right to this exact moment. So I remember not being comfortable with public speaking. Now I speak regularly. So all of my fear, him breaking it, me, stepping out, taking a risk, prepared me for this moment with you right now. I wouldn't even be able to speak with you at all on a biblical level if I didn't do any of the work before. So every incident, good, bad, or indifferent, have prepared you to be where you are. Now it's up to us to use those experiences and lessons, but I feel as though it's worth it. He take you through a lot of stuff, play a lot of games, and he's so funny sometimes. Daddy is so funny, but it's worth it to be right here, right now, and to have a relationship with him. Because I wouldn't even entrepreneurship. I don't know how people can even get through entrepreneurship without him. How is it even?
I know that's right. I know that's right. That'll bring you to your knees. Yes, it will. That'll get you to seeking and asking and knocking.
Yes.
For real. So any final thoughts? I really enjoyed our conversation. I really enjoyed you this morning. Any final thoughts, anything that you want to say? If not, then I'm going to say my spiel and end the show.
No, I don't have any last words, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Folasade, for coming on to the live talk show. Thank you for those who are watching. Chandra Gore, thank you so much. And I just want to say that in your own personal walk, in your own personal life, whatever that may be for you, I really hope that this encourages you. I really hope that this inspires you, that we talk about everything from relationship to spirituality to business, whatever that may be. And I just hope that it motivates you to seek him for yourself, to taste the Lord and see that he is good for yourself, because there's so much that he has in store for you. And don't take our word for it. Hopefully what we say encourages you to pursue it. But I hope that some way, somehow, that, you're open to actually seeing what this could be, what this walk, this life with him could possibly be for you. And so with that said, I will see you guys this Saturday with a new guest. Take care, be safe. God bless you all. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for sharing, commenting, just taking some time out of your day to tune into this, and even watching the replay. I greatly appreciate you all. Take care. God bless.